How's it going, people? Simon Slabby here. And although it is a bit early, I was kind of hoping to get this out Tuesday, but yeah, law and then other stuff happened. Anywho, the Player Reports update, just like I thought it would be, actually came out this week. So here is your quick little cover guide of exactly what has been added and kind of things to keep an eye out for. I'll show you the stats of the cape and the ring as well. Obviously I haven't got them yet because, well, you need a bollock ton of trade goods again. Yay! Anywho, let's get on with it then. So the Player Reports update basically has just added another 300 voyages to the already existing Player Reports. And for that, if you go to your pawn management, you can see here you've now got 2 extra islands to go to. And you unlock them simply by carrying on where you left off, in a nutshell. And eventually reach the last of these new islands. On top of that, if you have the 3 skills to attract 3 new adventurers, which is cooking, hunting as well as construction, then you can start doing their story missions. I've actually just done 2 of them myself now, and they're pretty easy starting off. It's exactly the same as when you first initially started Player Reports. So for those of you, if you haven't touched Player Reports before, if you was to come into Player Reports, if you have one of those 3 skills or one of the main 6 skills, it'll be nice and easy starting off, same as usual. And the rest of it is pretty much the same as every other Player Report. I did make a guide not too long ago. If you've never done Player Reports or are interested in it, or you just now happen to have the stats thanks to these 3 new adventures, I'd highly advise checking it out. And it should give you pretty much everything you need to know about Player Reports, to be honest. So there we go, there's our in a nutshell. So you've got 3 new adventurers. You've got 2 new islands, 300 new voyages, and they all have their own storyline, the new 3 adventurers. And same as before, I dare say it'll be once you reach up into the higher end of the storyline, you'll start getting large chunks of these, which is pearls as well as koi scales. Now you need these to make the cape and the ring respectively. And you're probably wondering, hang on, wasn't there a weapon? You're quite right, you had the Death Lotus weapon as well. And that has actually been added, although to make those you need Ascension Shards as well as Ancient Bones. Now Ancient Bones were there originally, and you use them to make scrimshaws, so now you've got a choice between either making your scrimshaws or making some Death Lotus weapons. Either way, it's kind of whether or not you use range as your primary attack, I guess. Personally, I'll be going with scrimshaws for the most part. I dare say I probably won't even bother making any of the darts. But yeah, each their own. Anyway, that is pretty much it in a nutshell. So once you come back in, if you used to do Player Reports before and you fully complete it, such as myself, then you'll notice that all your ship names will change. You'll actually have another ship there as well. Just quickly grab that, return it, and that's pretty much it. The only other thing worth mentioning is this fella. And he is called the Trader. And you can find this guy down in the southeast corner of Player Reports. And if you go ahead and trade him, you can actually buy trade goods of him. So basically this is the trade goods equivalent of the warehouse. That is it in a nutshell. So there we go. To buy the trade goods though, it does require resources, and it'll cost you your resources and you kind of trade for it. So as you can see, I just bought 5 spices for 12k jade, which, fair enough, really isn't worth it, gotta be said. But if you've completed Player Reports, you'll have a massive surplus of these. Honestly, I just gave up and kind of stuck it at about 20k on each, and then I just got bored, didn't bother coming back and playing Reports, so there we go. And that is it. That is the Player Reports update in a nutshell. So the only other thing worth mentioning is the ring and the cape. So let's get into that then. I'll show you some pictures from the BTS, as they're the only things we got to go by at the moment, and I'll tell you all the stats and everything else about it. So let's kick it off with the Death Lotus dart then. Well, this is made in the craft station, same as usual, and it'll require 92 fletching, 100 Ascension Shards, and 1 Ancient Bones to make them. It'll also provide you with 250 fletching XP. Now, how many darts you get for that, I'm not sure. Anyway, the stats on the darts itself: you require level 85 range to actually use the weapon itself, and it has a damage rating of 816, an accuracy rating of 2178, and it's fairly quick, as you'd expect from darts. Moving on then, you have the Leviathan ring. This is the brand new ring, and personally I think this is the best one out of the lot, and this is the one I'm definitely going for first. So, the Leviathan ring, you craft it in the same place as usual. This will require 90 crafting. You'll also need 80 pearls to actually make it, and it will give you 10k crafting XP upon creation. When you equip this ring, however, the ring offers a 2% chance of blocking half of the damage you take from a hit. Now obviously this is good and bad. It's only 2%, so it's not exactly, wow, this is going to be absolutely amazeballs. But negating half the damage on 2 in every 100 attacks you take, yeah, I don't know, can't really complain about that. Although granted, it might activate on something when you get hit for like 100 damage, but then another time you might get hit for like 3k damage and it'll take half of it away for you. And then if you tack that on with the spirit shields and stuff like that as well, then the damage reduction goes through the roof. So moving on to the ring itself, what stats and whatever else with it. Well, you need 85 defense and 85 constitution to actually equip it. It has an armour rating of 78, which is quite a bit higher than anything else I can think of. The armour rating on the Onyx Eye, for example, is 22. It also gives you crit bonuses of 2.2% across the board, so melee, range and mage all receive 2.2%. This is a full-on tank ring. It gives you 56 extra armour rating compared to the Onyx Eye, which as far as I know is the highest armour rating ring, maybe. It does give you 2.2% crit, which is 0.5 less than the Onyx Eye, but if you need the extra armour and the chance of negating damage, I dare say I might be switching to this ring. So last but not least, the final item is the Reef Warger's Cape, and this is made in the same spot as everything else. You need 90 crafting for it, 80 koi scales, and it will provide you 10k crafting XP, exactly the same as the ring. To equip this cape you need 85 defense and 85 constitution. It doesn't have any attack stats, although defensive wise it does give you an armor rating of 152 and a life bonus of 300. It also gives you a across the board crit hit bonus of 1.3%, which if you was to compare that to the max cape, just to give you a good idea of how good this cape is, the max cape's armor is 44, the defense on this is 152. Okay, fair enough, that's quite a massive difference, fair play. It also gives you 300 life bonus. And as far as I know, the max cape doesn't, at least when you hover over it, it mentions nothing about life bonus. So you just gained 300 life, as well as 110-ish armor. Although the crit rate on the max cape is 2.2%, the crit rate on this is 1.3, so you lose 0.9, and the max cape does have the prayer bonus on top. But still, 300 HP and 110 armor, and you don't even have to max. Yeah, max is becoming less likely to go for. Still nice to have mine, don't get me wrong, max cape looks sexy, but still, this cape is an amazing contender, and you'll happily sit around with this on your back until you eventually get up to max. And obviously because of this, the comp cape now has new stats as well. But yeah, there we go. That is everything you need to know about the player import update. So you've got the 3 new adventurers, as well as 300 new voyages. You have 2 new trade goods, and they've added this NPC down in the southeast, so you can actually trade resources for trade goods. And you have the 3 new items. And honestly, if you don't have a max or comp, the cape is definitely worth going for. And if you haven't completed World Wakes and you haven't got yourself an Onyx Eye, then this ring is awesome. And even if you have got your Onyx Eye or the World Wakes 3rd Age circuit, or 6th Age Circuit, whatever it's called, you want this ring anyway. So there we go. All in all, pretty awesome update. So the next batch, they haven't mentioned anything about it, but they did say there's going to be adding weapons for every single combat type. So what comes next, I have no idea, but I really hope it's mage, because I could do with an upgrade from my chaotic staff. I want another staff. A big massive staff. A staff of doom bringing, that's what it should be called. Staff of I'm gonna smite your ass. Anyway, that is it, that is the Player Reports update. You've now been informed. So with that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and until next time, I will catch you all later. Have a good one.